In the background, we have the 5 different configurations for Jeep: the Renegade, Patriot, Compass, Wrangler, and Cherokee, as well as some price ranges. From the left, we have the cheapest package, Renegade, and on the right, we have the Cherokee, which can be the most expensive, up to $67,000. Today, we're looking at the Jeep Renegade engine. The Jeep Renegade comes in 4 different packages: the Sport, Latitude, Limited, and Trailhawk. And we're going to be looking at the 2017 Jeep Renegade Latitude engine. This is AutOdometer, and if you're looking to keep your used vehicle as long and as cheap as possible, then subscribe to the channel. We produce content that helps you fix and understand your engine. In today's video, we have a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine in the 2017 Jeep Renegade. We'll be scanning over the engine and pointing some things out. I know before I got into working on cars, I didn't have a clue what was under the hood of my car, except maybe the windshield washer fluid reservoir. Stick around to the end to learn a little bit of the components of this engine. I've done many other engines as well, so you might want to check them out on my channel. The Jeep Renegade will either have a 1.4 or a 2.4 liter engine. Both have 4 cylinders. You can remove this plastic cover here by pulling up on each connector. There's also a small bolt connection there in the back left corner that you have to remove before you take this plastic cover off. So once we take it off, underneath the cover reveals the valve cover unit, as well as some electrical connections, spark plugs, and fuel injectors. We're going to go over here to the driver's side of the engine, check some of these things out. Here we have the overfill tank for the coolant reservoir system. And we have 2 tubes coming off, one on the top and one on the bottom. As the fluid heats up, you have just varying size of the cooling mass in the system. So that's what some of these extra lines are for. You have the upper radiator hose and the lower, which are the 2 larger ones. Here's the lower one. You have another radiator tube coming in and meeting it, and it goes down to go into the radiator, as well as going up and down in this tube here to the reservoir. Here you have the actual radiator that's doing the cooling, as well as the fan behind it. Blows the air across it and cools the fluid down, which then goes back into the engine. Here you have the windshield washer fluid system or reservoir, so the battery and a fuse box right here, as well as the power control unit or engine control unit here in the silver. And then you have the brake fluid reservoir here with a master brake cylinder with 2 lines right here. So this brake cylinder looks like this with the fluid reservoir on top. And if it's ever low, then you probably have a leak in the system. You want to address it real quickly. Here I believe you have the crank or camshaft position sensor here connected to the silver with an electrical line. Here you have some more electrical lines going to the spark plugs, and as well as the fuel injectors up here on top. Here you have the throttle body with the throttle position sensor right here in the red. And then the air intake is coming from the top with the black tube. Here you have a tube coming out of the crank case, or they also call it the valve cover. So here you have a gasket right here separating the valve cover and the engine. So lower half you have the engine, and the upper half you have the valve cover where the oil is lubricating the camshaft and the intake and outtake valves. You have some oil vapor that might vaporize due to the heat, and then it will go back into the intake after the air filter and be going following the path of the air. Here's the mass airflow sensor, goes to the throttle body and eventually into the engine to be burned. Down here you have your lower radiator tube and upper radiator tube again. You have a connection there. You have, it looks like just a holding place here for some more radiator tubes, which eventually go to your firewall, which we'll see here in a little bit. Down here you have looks like maybe your power steering rack or rack and pinion, just the driver's side portion of it. And it looks like possibly maybe your drivetrain down there, maybe your transmission. Got 2 more electrical connectors right here. It looks like some type of knock sensor. You have, it looks like another connector over here, probably your cruise control. Usually that's what they look like. Come back here. We're going to see if we can take a look back here. You see you have this black circular looking disc thing, that's your vacuum brake booster. You have a line going from your air intake to your brake booster normally. Here's 4 spark plug ignition coils. There's your oil addition port. Here is your exhaust manifold covered by some aluminum housing. Your 2 oxygen sensors, your upstream and your downstream. You got your catalytic converter, looks like right here at the front of your engine. And you also have your fan for your radiator that we spoke about before. Right here you have some air conditioning lines. Usually they have the silver connectors on the ends, and then you have your condenser, or excuse me, your compressor down there that compresses your refrigerant, which heats it up and compresses it into liquid. Here is your alternator with your serpentine or V-belt or drive belt. There's your oil dipstick tube. Down here you got some more electrical connections and going to your passenger headlight. And if you look down there, you could kind of see your air conditioning compressor. You see you have the air conditioning lines going to your condenser, which is right next to your radiator, which will take some heat out after the compressor compresses it. You follow your AC tube here, and you have one of your addition ports. This looks like the low pressure just due to the size of it. Usually the low pressure is smaller than the high pressure. The ports with this gray cap here, and we go around to the back of the engine back here behind this black intake tube, and just like the radiator tubes going underneath your, I believe they're underneath your engine. It's kind of hard to tell here, I couldn't really get a good picture, but right there at the firewall you have your air conditioning and your radiator lines going into your engine to provide heat and cool air. Heat during the winter and cool air during the summer. So that basically wraps up the 2.4 liter 2017 Jeep Renegade Latitude engine. So if you enjoyed that, you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want some more videos like this. Tell me if I did anything wrong. If I got anything wrong, let me know. Thanks for watching.